Hey guys, it's me, the NFL Presidential Address, Week 5. Ralph Michaels, Matt Joseph, and myself will take apart every single game on the board. And, well, at least there's some buys. It'll give us a goal. 1 hour. Ralph Michaels, Matt Joseph. We'll start with you, Matt. How are you? How did you do this past weekend in NFL?
We finished one game above 500, which is all right. Had a couple of nice prop hits, a couple of misses as well. Already locked in one for my clients for this week, and I'm excited to talk about this slate. You talk about buys. There are some scheduled buys, and who knows, maybe there'll be some unscheduled buys, unfortunately, again this weekend.
Ralph, you had 1-1 Sunday. Did you play on Monday? I can't remember. Oh, yes.
I did. I played the first half.
No,
under.
The first
quarter.
I'm
just going to mention this now. Do you know the Chiefs? The over-under was 10 for the first quarter on Monday night. If you look at the Chiefs' last 12 regular season games, they have not topped the total of 10 points. They've gone under 10 times with 2 pushes. So people think of the Chiefs as this high-scoring team. They do not get out of the gate quick.
And we saw that last playoffs. And Ralph, correct me if I'm wrong, but your play was under 10 in the first quarter.
First quarter, I could have won under 10 in the first half too, Prez, but I didn't take the 4-1 odds to do that, or 5-1. So it probably would have been more than that.
I had a 2-1 Sunday and an 0-2 Monday. I went 2-3, hovering around 500, which is a hell of a lot better than how I started last year, Ralph. And the thing with me was that I do my best work the second half of the season, so I'm actually doing okay. Like, just, hang around 500 until I take off, and I do every year. So I'm pretty comfortable. Hey, guys, welcome to the NFL Presidential Address. T. Wallace, this is a great show. Thank you so much for the kind words. Jeff Swazi, great info on this channel. You bet, man. And we actually put together a new show yesterday that just looks amazing. Dave Koken and Joe Ranieri. Dave looks at a bunch of college football games, so make sure to check that out. Birdie, what's going on? Always nice to see you. Carmine Bianco, love having you joining us. Indy Capper. Hey, Prez, I heard your discussion on Wager Turk Live earlier on teasers. Would you caution bettors not to play as many teasers? I went 4-0 last week in teasers. Yeah, I'm going to talk about that soon. That's for sure. Oh, I love the prop. Hey, I got to talk to our viewers, Ralph. You're on a lot of shows. Matt's on a lot of shows. One thing I say about me, and I appreciate it in my own self, is that I like to talk to the viewers. So let's just finish. Andy, Jimmy, Brian, nice to see you all. Okay, let's get to it. And yes, we will discuss teasers. We'll do it towards the end of the show. Ralph, you start every week with TNA. Regale us.
Prez, first couple minutes, I don't want to talk about TNA. I want to talk about the over-unders. We know that the over-unders have hit 62.1%, but we also see an adjustment that Vegas has made. And I just want to bring to the surface what those adjustments were. From 2015 to 2019, if you look at the first 4 games of the season, the over-unders went 50%. This year, we know the over-unders are 62%. So how much is there a difference from the previous 4 years to this year? Well, we've only increased scoring by 5.3 points per game. It's not some incredible 10-point margin difference. And the totals have increased by 2.1. So we're only talking about a 3-point difference from a 50% record to a 62% record. And then when you break down week to week, listen to this increase every week from week 1. Average total from the 16 NFL games week 1, 45.8. Week 2, 46.3. Week 3, it jumps 2 points, 48.2. Week 4, 49.5. This week, 50.6. So week 1 was 45.8. This week, 50.6, a 4.8 increase. So we're going to see that value go away. So just if you're late to the ship, if you're late to the game, don't just blindly start looking at playing at totals because we think there's this brand new game. The numbers have caught up, and I expect a regression back to the mean this week for sure, or at least by next week. So just be cautious.
Ralph, way to start the show by upsetting me. I had 3 overs this past week in week 4, 3 overs. I think if you combined all 3, I didn't get 50. Oh, my God. Way to point out that every game is going over. 50 is the number, and I couldn't pick an over if I knew the damn score. Okay, dude.
Well, let me ask you this, Prez. I got a couple more I got to just mention real quick. When a team goes over each of the first 4 weeks, the Raiders have gone over weeks 1, 2, 3, 4. The Bills have gone over weeks 1, 2, 3, 4. The Saints have gone over all 4 weeks. What happens week 5? Do they continue to go over or do they go under the total?
Well, that's really easy, Ralph. If I pick the over, they go stone cold under. If I pick the under, they go over. So really, I am the mitigating factor here, and I haven't looked at my totals yet.
Okay. Here, Matt, I'm going to be done with Prez because I asked him a yes-no question over and under, and I have to get a 2-minute dictatorial on why he can't give me an answer. Since 2007, those teams that have gone over each of the first 4 games, 4 overs, 18 unders, and a push.
Wow.
Again, the opposition knows, Vegas catches up. That number surprised me. Philadelphia.
Ugh.
This one Matt, congratulations. Philadelphia's in first place.
Woo!
All right. This one is so easy, it boggles my mind at the record. If a team wins as a dog of 6 or more one week, and a team is a dog of 6 or more the next week, that's it. Just those 2 things. Can you believe those teams the second week, 3-50 straight up, 13-39-1 against the spread, 25%. When you pull the upset one week, the team that you're playing the next week will not look past you. All of a sudden, you get their complete focus. And that's what I think Pittsburgh's going to have.
That's a great stat, Ralph.
Just amazing, Prez. 3-50 straight up because the average 6-point dog wins, I think, 30-something, 20, high 20%. So to be 3-50 in that role just shows you how teams are aware. And then I want to give 2 conflicting angles for the same game, just to tell our people, when you're looking at trends and angles, I think it's more important to find those trends and angles that are against you and not on you, because you could always find good numbers for your games. Make sure you do your due diligence to find out the bad numbers. So both of these angles apply to Indianapolis and Cleveland. The first is this. A team that scored 43 or more points last week against a team that allowed 11 or less. Cleveland scored over 43. Indy scored 11 or less. If we get rid of the double-digit dogs,
Indy scored 19. Indy scored 19.
Allowed.
Oh, allowed. Sorry.
I said good offense and good defense. The teams like the Browns, 13 and 27, 32%. So the good defense beat the good offense. But this exact same situation now, a team that won as a dog like Cleveland with a win percentage of 70% or higher and an opponent win percentage of 70 or higher. So Cleveland won as a dog. Both teams are 3-1, so they have a win percentage of 70 or higher. Cleveland this time, 25, 10-1, 71%. So we have a good and a bad in both situations. Pick them out. Both of those go against each other this week, but do write them down and you can play them for the future.
He's Ralph Michaels, the hardest working man at Wager Talk, with Dave Koken right behind you, dude. The only problem I had with one of your trends is you called Indy a good defense. Listen, I mean, if they play CFL teams week after week after week, you bet your ass they got a good defense. Boys, let's get to it. Start right at the beginning. Tampa Bay going into Chicago, and a lot of money is coming in on Chicago. We spoke on Wager Talk today with Arthur DeCesar about this. I was 5.5 just maybe 30 hours ago, 4.5 this morning, 4 mid-afternoon. Now we have a 3.5 across the board. A total of 44.5. And, I look at this game and I see two teams that just are not evenly matched. Chicago, I played the under in the Chicago Indy game last week. That was a winner. I also played Tampa Bay. That was a push. And I look at this and I think to myself, nobody's holding Tampa Bay down completely. Can I get 20 points out of Tampa Bay? Can I get 17 points out of Tampa Bay? Hell yes. Can I get 9 points out of Chicago? Yeah, maybe. But can I get 17 or 20? I highly doubt it. I look at this game as Chicago just won't be able to keep pace. They won't be able to score. With that said, I think they're going to play incredible defensively. And, Tom Brady threw a pick. If he throws another or a couple of fumbles here or there, I can see Chicago winning this game. But other than that, Tampa Bay, for me, Ralph, I like them, and especially now that this line has dropped so much.
Prez, it's something that people should pay attention to. I had thrown this game out because there's no way I thought this line was going to drop this much. So now all of a sudden I have to go back out and I'm going to pull it back into my mix. So, guys, don't be afraid to go back and look at what you originally thought your thought process was. I think Tampa Bay gets a load of confidence. Prior to last week, when Tampa Bay trailed by 17, they had lost 42 straight games. So what does that do? That now gives you a winning mentality. That now gives your defense confidence that if they keep you in a game, the offense can come back and win. That now gives your other players confidence. So I think it was a huge boon for them to come back. I will say this. For all those Mitch Trubisky haters, let's see. Mitch Trubisky is 3-0. Nick Foles is 0-1. So what does that tell you about the Chicago Bears this year? Should Trubisky come back? No, I'm just kidding. I don't think that. I like I said, this game was a throwout for me. I'm actually looking to bring Tampa back in now.
Yeah, and I like that take, Ralph. And another factor I think we have to look at, especially, and Matt talked about this a lot on all our shows, no preseason. They're 4 games in, which equates to preseason. I think this Tampa Bay team is only going to get better and better as the year progresses. I think they're going to be more in rhythm as the year progresses. So I'm with you, and I think that's a great take. I also lean on the under. Nate, one of our listeners, says 24-21 type game. No chance in hell Chicago puts 21 points up. Under and Tampa Bay for me. Matt, what's your take?
Well, I guess I'll be the contrarian. It worked out for me a little bit last week. I was the only one in the panel with the Bengals, and that worked out. Of course, I was also the only one with a different play that lost. But I'm actually looking at the under for the Bucs team total points. And the important thing here is I'm looking at 2 different books. One is 24, one is 24.5. The injury report is out. No Chris Godwin, no Justin Watson, no LaShawn McCoy. Leonard Fournette's doubtful. Mike Evans and Scotty Miller are questionable. All of them are on offense. Their number 3 wide receiver right now is a guy named Tyler Johnson. No idea who that is. Jaden Mickens, Cyril Grayson, Josh Pearson are wide receivers 4, 5, and 6. I know, by the way, Mike Evans and obviously Scotty Miller aren't 100% playing in this game. So if you look at this team, I don't know where the points are coming from. Maybe Gronk gets resurrected once again, but I just, I don't know where the points. I can understand your under. I can understand taking the Bears team total under. Some other quick facts here. Devin White, he plays linebacker for the Buccaneers. He's allowed 19 receptions, 214 yards, and a touchdown on 25 targets. Only 2 linebackers have given up more receptions than him. So maybe the ghost of Jimmy Graham gets involved here. So he's a guy you might want to look at for the props. The Bears have 8 sacks so far, but 32 total pressures. I think Tom Brady could be a little bit under siege here. So I like the Bucs under team total here, and I like the Bears a little bit, even though some of the value's gone because it's down to 3.5.
I'm going to add 2 things to your thing, Matt. The Bears did have 4 sacks against the Giants, so let's put that in perspective. So the other 4 were spread out. But when you look at Tampa Bay, Brady at home in 2 games against the Chargers and Carolina, no sacks. 2 road games at Denver and at New Orleans, 5 sacks, so 2.5 per game. So the home road dichotomy is there. I'm going to ask you one player prop real quick. We know Tom Brady, if you drop too many balls, he's not going to throw to you. Ronald Jones had 6 receptions this past week, but he had 3 drops. Does he get a do-over with Brady, or is that in Brady's head already?
Well, I think you're going to see more Keyshawn Vaughn. I mean, he's the backup guy, and he's the guy that they thought was going to be, before they added the old guys, Fournette and McCoy, everybody thought Keyshawn Vaughn was going to be the third down guy. So I actually think, nobody's putting out any props on Keyshawn Vaughn for tomorrow night, but I think he's going to be a guy who's going to get a bunch of receptions and be a little more active out of the backfield.
Great stuff, guys. Let's move on to the Carolina-Atlanta game. And again, line moves all the way. Came out at -3.5. There's a -2.5 on the board. Most places are at -2, but bookmakers at 1.5, and Bet Online is at -1. So there's a lot of money coming in on Carolina. The total in this game is 54, and well, I'm definitely not going to be in play on this game. I don't know how good Carolina is. It's probably better to stay away from a team that you don't know well. So, Matt, I'll go to you first. What do you think is going to happen here?
I mean, you've got a Falcons team off a short week, off another demoralizing loss, off another couple of injuries on the defense. I mean, if you look, you've got, some of the safeties. They listed a guy named Sherrod Niesman as the starting free safety. There's some guys that they might get back. Ricardo Allen and Keanu Neal are trending in the right direction, but how much is that as coach speak? And you've got Dan Quinn still there. I don't understand how Dan Quinn is still the coach there. And eventually, this could be a Bill O'Brien situation where he just loses the team. Julio Jones might not play in this game. You might have the squeaky wheel case of Calvin Ridley, who didn't have a catch last week. So maybe they force feed Calvin Ridley here. But you're right. I don't think I can trust the Carolina Panthers here. The one thing I'll say is Ian Thomas has been a disappointment. They thought he was going to take over for Greg Olsen. But tight ends have seen 23.46% of the targets against the Falcons, seventh highest rate in the season. I don't know if I'm ready to jump on Ian Thomas, but I wouldn't be surprised if he has some success. I actually do lean to the over here. I'm not ready to go take the Panthers on the road here, but I think the Panthers can do their share here, and I think Matt Ryan does better, and I think this is an over.
Ralph, right now, Carolina, top 10 defense in the league. Where are you going in this game?
Well, I can't bet Atlanta. Here's the reasons why. I mean, we saw their pass defense without the safeties on Monday night was pathetic. You have a Carolina team which was able to control the line of scrimmage. 37 minutes to 22 minutes was the time of possession edge. That's important. When I look at Atlanta now, how many 0-4 teams have been favored, guys? I got an answer for you, Prez.
Of course you do.
Since 2010, there have only been 8 other teams that have been favored as an 0-4. They've gone 2-6 against the spread. There's actually 2 this week. The Falcons and Houston are in that favorites role. And one more TNA, which this isn't week specific, but it is one that I really like. You have a team that lost straight up in ATS, a team that won straight up in ATS, and the lines between the threes. So a team in good form versus a team in bad form with basically a pick'em game. The team that won like Carolina did, 31-8 ATS, 80% against the spread. To me, it makes perfect sense. It's Carolina or nothing.
Ralph Michaels, Matt Joseph, the Prez. You're watching the NFL Presidential Address. Thanks so much, guys. 270 of you watching. 36 likes. Let's get those likes up, please. Dap Van Gogh, I haven't seen your name before. Welcome. Nice to see you. Same with you, teasing the NFL. I always love having you with us. Nate. I said your name 4 times, made up for yesterday. Brent Gregory, hope you're doing well, my brother. Okay, so let's go to the Raiders against the Chiefs. And the Chiefs did not look good last week, but nor did they look good against the Chargers. And they came back and just throttled Baltimore. Offense was in full swing. Now they're playing the Raiders, plus 13 for the Raiders, a total of 56. Look, I don't bet against Kansas City. They can score too quickly. But I got to believe the value here is on the Raiders. The total is 56.5, and I lean on the over, but I'm really scared of these monster overs. Shame on me for that. Matt, I'll go to you first. I like the Raiders in the spot, but I won't be betting them.
For the second straight year, the Chiefs are allowing the fewest yards to wide receivers. Last year, over the last 20 games, they've only allowed 121.1 yards per game to wide receivers. And we don't know what the deal is. Henry Ruggs returned to practice today for Vegas. That's a big deal because he's going to be the guy that opens the can here. But here's the other thing not many people are talking about. Bashaud Breeland's coming off his 4-game suspension, and that's going to legitimize the Kansas City secondary because I think he's probably a number one. He's definitely a number one on this team, but he's probably a number one NFL standards. It's funny, while I was doing my research, I go back and read a bunch of the articles, and they're like, oh, Maurice Hurst needs to see more time on the Raiders defense. Well, he was placed on the COVID list yesterday. 13 tackles, 4 quarterback hits, and half a sack this season. It's a Raiders defense that doesn't get enough pressure. And Mahomes without a lot of pressure in his face, he's going to pick you apart. The other thing here is Josh Jacobs. He's been kind of disappointing this year. He is the 4th most carries into boxes of 8+ defenders with 18 of them. That's courtesy of Sport Radar on Twitter. He's only got 3.33 yards per carry in those runs. They have to do something to open up the box a little bit because Josh Jacobs is going to continue to be disappointing, and they're not throwing him the ball enough. So I'd look at the Josh Jacobs props and make sure that the number's not too high. If it is too high, I'd consider an under here because Jacobs is just not producing for the Raiders.
Ralph?
Well, I look at Kansas City and you say, you got an overtime game against the Chargers on the road. You're playing the next best team in football on the road in Baltimore. You have Bill Belichick and the Patriots. And next week, oh yeah, by the way, you're going to go play a 4-0 Bills team. So can you say that a division home game is a flat spot? I'm not sure,
no.
But with that said, we've seen off the Baltimore game how they were mediocre against New England. We saw they were minus a couple turnovers. We saw they were out first down. We saw that when they had to move the ball, they did. I'm going to bring up this stat that, if you watch Wager Talk today with Prez and Teddy, I'm on the last 7 or 8 minutes doing a TNA segment every week. Every day. And I just want to bring this one up because it applies to this game. And to me, it makes great sense. When an NFL team is playing a division foe on the road and they have a bye on deck. So the Raiders have a bye on deck. They have 2 weeks just to focus on this foe. Those teams since 2010 have gone 31-10 against the spread, 76%. To me, that makes perfect sense. Raiders will try to run the ball. KC is allowing 5.3 yards per carry. As long as they don't turn the ball over, it's silly to say you're going to go against a team that's won 13 straight and is 12-1 ATS their last 13 games. But the only way I could go is the Raiders.
Yeah, and I agree with you there. Although with that said, and one of the people were asking about teasers. I really do like 3-team 10-pointers, and the problem is I can't find the third team, but Baltimore and Kansas City fit that bill. I always go down on the teasers. I know guys like Marco and Ralph like to go up.
Only when I'm playing the Seahawks defense, Prez. That's it. When I'm playing that Civ defense, I do go against them and go up against their foe.
Right. Okay, well, let's move to the next game, guys. I mean, nothing definitive on that Kansas City game. Leans on the Raiders. Denver playing New England. Not a lot of lines out. Can't find a total at all. New England is minus 11. No chance in hell I can go near that number. I don't think this New England team can score enough to justify that type of a line. This is an outright pass for me. Ralph, I'll go to you first on this game.
Well, we got Belichick off a loss. Obviously, there's no line yet till Cam Newton. He was asymptomatic, but he has to pass a COVID test 2 in a row to be able to play now. So, the other issue is now Stephen Gilmore just tested positive today, so he likely won't play. But this is just going to be a pass for me because I want no part of the Denver quarterback situation, and with the uncertainties with, if a second player is popping up, there's odds there may be more players. Pass for me.
Leo Trapp writes, great job, guys. Super info and analysis from Greece. I spent 21 days in Eos, Leo. 21 days in the party city on the planet. God, I wish I was young. Matt, what do you like in this game?
Well, I mean, without knowing the quarterbacks, because Drew Lock did practice today, or at least was at practice today, that would upgrade some things, at least on the Denver side. And with Cortland Sutton out and Noah Fant is not going to play, I'm looking at Tim Patrick props. He might be the number one wide receiver, and if there's no Gilmore, which it looks like there won't be, then he won't get locked down on Gilmore Island. So to me, I'm looking at Tim Patrick here as a guy, and maybe Jake Butt of the former Michigan guy, a tight end. Maybe he takes over at tight end for Noah Fant because you know how much Denver loves throwing to their tight ends.
Yeah, and I actually bet Noah Fant in the last Denver game over 4.5. He got injured late, but I got that prop in. And Matt, I gotta thank you, man. It's really you that has made me start studying these prop bets, especially in the standalone games like tomorrow night, Sunday night, Monday night. And I'm just absolutely rolling in these things. I had Aaron Rodgers over 298 on Monday. I cashed that as well. So shout out to you again, bro. Just really stretching my mind with these props, and I'm really spending a lot of time trying to find value, and I'm rolling in them. So way to go, dude. Rams, Washington football team, and Rams here are -7, a few 7.5s on the board. The total is 45, and I think the Rams played maybe their worst game last week. Did get the win, but I don't know, man. I think this Washington team is really bad. I think they have a good defense, but I don't think Haskins is going to remain their quarterback for much longer.
He's out already.
Yeah, very good there, Prez.
Yeah, he's done already. It's
got
Allen.
taken out.
There you go.
Allen.
Out. With that said, you heard Aaron Donald, and Teddy loves to talk about the quotes coming out of the dressing rooms from these players, and the Rams were not happy at all with their output last week. I think they go into Washington and cover this number, Matt.
Well, make it probably a first-half play if you're going to do that, because they got a road trip to San Francisco up next, and so that's going to be some bigger fish to fry. And I actually think, look, I one of my notes here before all the news today was I would take the under on Haskins props because I think he was close to getting taken out. So now I can't even do that.
Well, it's a winner.
Well, yeah, I mean, exactly, unless he comes in the middle, which would be actually he's not going to because he's going to be. Can I do a quick PSA here? Alex Smith is now the backup. I'm telling you, I saw on one of the sports books, Alex Smith as a comeback player of the year is 11-1. If he steps on the field, he's going to win comeback player of the year after everything he's gone through. And he's one step closer to playing now. So if you still want to, sprinkle a little bit on Alex Smith on comeback player of the year while there's still time, because I think he will if he gets on the field. Anyway, the Washington football team's offense should run a little smoother. The problem is they don't have enough weapons. If you take Terry McLaurin away, which is what Jalen Ramsey's going to do, it becomes the Logan Thomas show. I mean, their number 2 wide receiver, I don't even know. It's Dontrell Inman. They started using Isaiah Wright out of Temple, and I can tell you as a Temple football fan, he checked out last year, and he actually gets 3 or 4 catches a game now. So to me, Washington's offense, outside of McLaurin and Antonio Gibson, is just abysmal. But Rams next week have a bigger fish to fry in San Francisco. So to me, if you're looking at the Rams, I say you go first half here because I think you'll get a more focused effort, especially, as you say, as they're pissed off after last week.
I like that call, Matt. Ralph, what do you like in this game?
I was looking up some TNA, so
like actual TNA.
No, Prez. I was looking at the Rams.
You step into it. I'm taking the bait.
At Philadelphia, home. At Buffalo, home against the Giants. At Washington, home against San Francisco. So I wanted to look in a 5-week period. If you play a road game, home game, road game in the NFL, what your ATS record is, thinking it would be very bad, a 4th road game in 5 weeks, but it's 49.6%. So obviously Vegas adjusts to that. So there's times that you may have a thought in your head that, oh my God, this is an absolute play against, but it's not always. I like the under. I agree with what Teddy wrote. I read those same quotes out of there. You got to remember, Kyle Allen started 1 game in 2018, 13 games in 2019. That's more than Haskins has started. So we are actually having an upgrade in experience. This isn't a second stringer coming in. This is a guy who, for Carolina for 2 years, started more games, and then he played 3 years in college. Dwayne Haskins played 1 year. Allen played 2 years at A&M. Then he transferred to Houston, had a redshirt year. So he is probably 10 times more experienced in his collegiate and pro experiences. So for me, it's not really a downgrade for Washington, but they're not going to throw the ball 45 times like they did last week against Baltimore. They're going to try to, run the ball. Now, you look at the Rams. We know the Rams have first-round draft choices on the D-line, but it is surprising to know they're allowing 5.0 yards per carry this year and 124 yards per game. That's not the Rams' rush D that we're used to seeing. So I think Washington comes into it thinking they can run. I think the Rams have a big improvement on defense, and I like Washington's D-line as well. I'm going to go under the total.
I like that call, 45. I'm with you there, Ralph. Guys, Houston with Romeo as their head coach. Oy, oy, oy. I mean, could they go from bad to worse? With that said, they're -6 against Jacksonville, and Houston's on my short list, Matt. I think they blow their load. I think this is their week. I think they're a better team than they've looked. Ralph has pointed out how insane their schedule has been so far this year. I think Jacksonville is coming back to where we expected them. I think Houston wins this game going away.
I'll spoil it a little bit. I already sent it out to my clients, -6. I may even add the first half, the -4 in the first half. I mean, I just think this is one of those situations where you get rid of a guy who you've had problems with, and it's almost the day after your teacher leaves and you get a substitute teacher and you just go nuts and you have a lot of fun. I think that Deshaun Watson's going to have a very good game. He threw for 300 yards last week, but was it really that good in the win against the Vikings? Quarterbacks are completing a league-high 77% against the Jaguars, and C.J. Henderson left last week's game against the Bengals with an injury. He's a guy that we're going to have to watch out for. Also, nickel corner DJ Hayden also left with an injury, so that's two guys in their secondary. Teams have chosen to run the ball 55% of the time against the Texans. I'll be a broken record here. James Robinson every week, and I know DraftKings does it, and I know FanDuel does it, rushing and receiving. The guy has had 74 of 88 running back touches in this backfield, including 4 of 5 targets last week. They're going to keep feeding James Robinson. He's going to keep getting yards. That's why it's important to include the rushing and the receiving props together, because then you get all the yards jumbled together. And if they start throwing the ball, he catches the ball too. So I love the Texans here. I love James Robinson here. I think both have a lot of fun on Sunday.
Ralph, is Houston just about to make our first consensus play?
No.
Damn, Ralphie, Ralph.
I'm okay with it because I lean Houston. I do. I am just not going to play the game. Yes, we expect them to. You've played the hardest first 4 games in the history of the NFL schedule. KC, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Minnesota, no question. But I go back to my database and I have to look at, what happens when you bring in a new head coach. There has been no interim head coach in the NFL since 1992 that has laid this many points their first game. In fact, since 2000, the last 36 interim head coaches, nobody's laid more than a field goal. So you're asking a new coach to be in this position. By the way, an interim head coach, 11-25 straight up since 2000, 13-23, 36.1% of the 36% against the spread. I am not playing Houston because of that. I am just sharing that information for those people that might have the question.
Yeah, Ralph, so, with that said, those stats are great, but my question to you is, what is the record in their first game as an interim coach, not over an extended period of time? Because that's only the first game as an interim head coach. Oh, okay, wow, that's amazing. But keep in mind, everybody, take it with a bit of a grain of salt, because you don't have an interim head coach in the middle of the season unless you're shit to begin with.
The Panthers had one last year. They lost. Washington had one last year. They lost. In 2018, the Browns had one midseason. They lost. And week 14, the Packers had one. They did win. They were playing the Falcons. They won 34-20. So though that record is going back to 2000, the first game for an interim head coach midseason.
Okay, boys, we're halfway through. Jason C., Zach B., Sammy, Joe, Jay Claxton, thank you for your kind words. Grateful for you guys. Have been a lot better with the help of you guys. Really appreciate that. And we really appreciate you guys taking time out of your day to watch us. 400 of you are in the chat room, 58 likes. Let's get that up. We have 5 dislikes. Matt, I just want you to know all 5 are specifically from me. All the likes are for you and Ralph. The dislikes are for me. Let's get into the next game. We're going to skip this Buffalo-Tennessee game. So Arizona, they're now -7 against the Jets. 47 is the total. 47? I mean, I know the New York Jets are good for at least 6. I don't think Arizona's putting up 41. So this is a stone cold under for me, Matt. The only way this game goes over is if the Jets score 3 touchdowns on offense in the wrong direction. I'm looking at this total and thinking, wow, they're on my short list. Under for me, I'm not going anywhere near the side. I don't know who this Arizona team really is yet.
I talked about last week. Last week was Kenyon Drake's opportunity to do something for the Cardinals. He had no targets last week. Edmonds passed him and is getting all the targets now out of the backfield. Kyler Murray accounts for 46% of the Cardinals' rushing yards. No other player is running for more than 3.8 yards per carry. This is a backfield that's been really disappointing. Kenyon Drake has not been very good. Edmonds is going to pass him eventually even more. And so to me, that's a concern when you become so one-dimensional. The other thing I've read a lot this week is about Larry Fitzgerald. He's only been targeted 18 times through 4 games. Now, look, DeAndre Hopkins is amazing. He's been targeted 46 times, and you're going to keep feeding him. But to me, I feel like we're going to see a little bit more Larry Fitzgerald here because against the Jets, they don't have a good slot corner. They don't have any good corners. The other thing to consider here is why, and I know Ralph will bring this up, the Cardinals went back west in between the 2 East Coast trips. They played their game last week. They're back home, and then they're going to fly back east. On the Jets side, you've got Joe Flacco. I don't know what Joe Flacco has left. I also need to see how healthy Mekhi Becton is, because without Mekhi Becton, Joe Flacco is going to be even more on the run than he already probably is. The other thing to watch here is Le'Veon Bell and Denzel Mims are both eligible to come off of injured reserve. To me, I've hit every week on the Jets team total under. It didn't win last week against the Broncos. I'm hoping a better Cardinals defense will hold them down. And so I'll go once again with the Jets team total under here. And you're right. I can't trust the Cardinals laying that many points on the East, especially since they're making the trip back and forth.
Yeah, and Matt, the team total for the Jets, 19.5. I love it, man. I think that's a great pick. Ralph, what do you like in this one?
Well, if you guys watched last week, I said I can't back the Cardinals because you have to learn to win on the road before you learn how to cover as an away favorite. And we saw them just struggle on the road. And it's the same thing this week. Yes, it seems with Flacco playing that the Jets are an easy fade. I mean, Flacco started 8 games for Denver in 2019. He started 9 games for Baltimore in 2018. I mean, so the guy has 17 starts the last 2 years. But you look at his yards per attempt, 6.7 and 6.5 and 7.0 those 2 seasons. So it's going to be dink and dunk type ball. I'm gonna do something crazy and just say, since I can't back Baltimore and I don't like the Jets, I'm going to make the Jets under a consensus pick for the week, Prez, and making your job easy at the end of the show.
Well, my friend, I think we're all on the same page on the Jets under. So I agree, and I've just written it down. We got a guy, Bill Rickles. Nice to see you, Bill. I love that name, Rickles. There should be a quarterback, and the starting quarterback for the Miami Dolphins, Bill Rickles. Anyway, Ralph, put your note back up. I'm not going to talk until it comes up. 1 hour, it says. Philadelphia, Pittsburgh. I'll make this easy, Matt. I like Philadelphia. I'm staring right into the headlights of Ralph's opening trends. It's on my short list. We saw them play really good against San Fran. I don't think Pittsburgh is as good a team. What happened there, Ralph?
They played really good?
They won.
Okay, they won, yes.
They won against a really good team on the road.
Okay. I'm okay with that. They won against probably the most injured team in NFL history on the road.
Yeah, that very same team destroyed another team the week before. Fine. Philadelphia played okay and got the job done, and now they're sitting in first place. You said it right.
Philadelphia went on the road and won a game. That's what you should have said and stopped.
Okay, redo. Anyway, I said last week, guys, on the NFL Presidential Address that this Philadelphia team is weird. They go out, they lay 2 eggs in a row, 3 eggs in a row, and then they roll off 6 straight wins. I don't know if that's going to happen here. I don't know if they're going to actually win this game, but 7 points is a big number. I don't think Pittsburgh is nearly as good as everybody else does. Total is 44. I like the under in this game, Matt, and I also like the Eagles at 7.
Wow. I mean, that's gutsy there. To me, this feels like, and I don't know, this is not me fan. This feels like the Eagles poured everything out on the road in San Francisco. They balled out. The practice squad guys did everything. They played really well, and now they go to Pittsburgh, a team coming off a bye week, and technically a bye week. Now, they did practice a little bit, so it was not officially a bye because I think you have to have 4 days off, and they only had 3, whatever it is. Nobody sacks the quarterbacks at a higher rate than the Steelers, who blitz over 50% of the time. This is the first time the Eagles see a 3-4 type defense. You got Jordan Mailata at left tackle, who, a couple of years ago was playing rugby. I mean, the easy play here for me is the over on the sacks. If it's 5.5, I think both of these teams, they've combined for 32 sacks so far this season. If it's 5.5, I love the over here because the Eagles' defensive line is the best in football. The other thing to consider here is Darius Slay is allowing only 30.5 receiving yards per game. Terry McLaurin, Robert Woods, A.J. Green, the ghost of A.J. Green, and Deebo Samuel. Deontay Johnson should go wild. I'm loading up on Deontay Johnson props. And hint, I may, if I play a teaser this week, the Steelers may be involved because I think the Eagles poured it all out in San Francisco. I don't see the same result in Pittsburgh.
Love that sack prop. Ralph, you are the rubber call, I guess you'd call it.
No, I will. I have the Steelers on a teaser for sure, or maybe even the side. The only thing concerning is Big Ben and Pittsburgh they were pissed. They're pissed that they didn't get to play last week, and it changes their bye week. They thought they had momentum going after Denver and Houston. Big Ben, after, not playing last year, wanted to keep playing. The interesting thing is this. There's talk now, because I know we went through the Tennessee game, there's talk that because Tennessee had a practice which was completely illegal because of COVID, that they are going to forfeit this Buffalo game. So then the Steelers really get screwed. The Steelers screw their bye, have to play Tennessee later. The Bills may get a win with a forfeit, and Tennessee not even being able to play. We'll see what happens with that. But there's no way that I'm backing San Francisco. Pittsburgh's D-line, as you said, 15 sacks on the year. There's no way I'm there's no way I'm backing Philadelphia. Yes, Steelers, 15 sacks on the year. Big Ben and the rushing game averaging 140 yards, 4.7 yards per carry. You have Philadelphia at 18 first downs, 267 yards last week. Their defense kept them in the game. And yes, Philly has 13 sacks the last 2 weeks, but that was against a rookie quarterback in his 3rd ever game, and last week against a backup quarterback making his 2nd start. Not going to get that same type of pressure on Big Ben. I think Ben uses it to his advantage, using that rush to his advantage. Pittsburgh will be on a teaser for me for sure, maybe on an actual play for me.
Ralph Birdie asks, no concern about the Browns being on deck the following week?
No. God, no. This is Philadelphia. You're used to playing Philadelphia in preseason every year. This used to be their game 4. Pittsburgh's lost the last 3 games to Philadelphia. They haven't beaten them, I think, since 2012. Yeah, this is a 3-0 team that knows, even though they're ahead of Baltimore in the standings, they know they have to keep winning. Plus, you had the bye week in between. If you were off the Tennessee match and had Cleveland on deck, there might be some because of the AFC matchups. But with the bye, there's no way that you look past the team.
Outstanding stuff, you guys. Cincinnati going to Baltimore, -13. 52 is the total. I can't touch this game, Matt. I'd like to give out some thoughts. I mean, I think Baltimore is going to win. I don't lay 13. I don't actually remember ever laying 13 in my entire life. Where are you going in this one?
I don't see a lot here either. I mean, even in a prop sense, I wrote down some stuff about Tyler Boyd, how he's had 23 receptions for a first down, which is the second highest total in the league according to Pro Football Focus. AJ Green is a shell of what he used to be. I unfortunately started him in fantasy last week, and he's just not what he is. And then you've got a Ravens team that, in non-Mahomes games, in the last 18 games where they haven't faced Patrick Mahomes, they've allowed 14 passing touchdowns. To me, I'm considering the Bengals team total under here. It also depends. There is something weird here. Now, today they said that Lamar Jackson met with the media but was not out there at practice during the time, and he did leave a little early on Sunday's game against Washington. Just something to watch for before you maybe lock your bet in if something weird is going on with Lamar Jackson. I don't think it is. It could be just an unscheduled day, but just something to put on your radar here on a Wednesday that Lamar Jackson was not out there for the media open portion of practice today.
He's Matt Joseph. You can find him at sportsmemo.com. Don't sleep on his prop bets. Ralph Michaels, wagertalk.com. And Ralph, tell everybody about our $199 promotion.
You got it. I'm still looking up TNA.
I can do it.
Guys, today is Wednesday, October the 7th. If you're going to buy this package, you buy it today. Why? Because today you're getting 25 days for the rest of October. You buy it Thursday, guess what? $199. Buy it Friday, $199. Buy it Saturday, $199. It's good through Sunday, but you can get 5 extra days by buying it today. It works out to be under $8 a day. It's every play a service has from today through October 31st. So no matter when you buy it, it still expires October 31st. Get those few extra days in. Any capper, $199. Okay, I'm going to keep going, Prez.
Do it.
Prez says, I never bet NFL favorites over 13. So Ralph has to go to the database and look it up. Since the 2015 season, the year they moved the extra point line back, 13-point favorites and higher, 36 and 22, 62.1% against the spread. So I just throw that out there. Don't fall into the trap of I never. There are spots for a good reason. Teams deserve to be 13 points. Now, I will say this. No, it's pretty split. I wanted to sort it by weeks to see if a lot of the garbage games at the end of the week were winners, but it looks pretty split. I will say this, though. Even though they are a 13.5-point favorite, and I just said they've covered 62.1%, I believe Burrow can move this team. First rookie to ever throw for 300 yards back-to-back games. I think they keep him into the mix. We saw that Baltimore last week with the lead against Washington. They pulled out Lamar Jackson in the fourth quarter. I think they have the mentality. They know they go to Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Indy, New England. They've got a bunch of tough defenses coming up. If you can get rest for Lamar Jackson and you have a 20-point lead and you can pull them out, do so. If you're playing prevent, we see Burrow excels with the no-huddle prevent defense late. I think the back door is wide open. And, I actually lean Cincinnati. I'm not going to get to the window with them. But, Burrow has proved that they're not out of any game ever.
Ralph Michaels, unbelievable stuff. Same with you, Matt. San Fran -8, 8.5, 9.5. No line at all. No total. Playing Miami. I got nothing in this game either. I mean, I'd like to see what the total is, but I struggle with Miami. I mean, Fitz can come out and put up 4 touchdowns. He can come out and throw 4 interceptions. To me, I just stay away from most Miami games. What's up, Matt?
I really want everybody for San Francisco. Well, not everybody. I don't want that. But I want Jimmy G playing. I want as many guys as they can get back to play because I want to play the Dolphins here. I don't think I'm going to get to the window on it, but I do. Look, I'm glad they decided that Ryan Fitzpatrick's going to start. They said Tua is not even close to ready yet. The Dolphins defense is not very good, but Xavier Howard is decent as one wide receiver, one cornerback. This Miami team, I feel like, can make it interesting. I watched that San Francisco game last week. I don't want Mullins in there. I don't want Beathard in there. I want Jimmy G because I think that the line will go up. I like this Dolphins team. I know they've bit me a couple times. I know that the Jacksonville game went their way, but I think they're talented enough to backdoor a game like this. And San Francisco has the Rams next week. I know they're coming off a loss to the Eagles, but with all the injuries, they just add another cornerback to the injured reserve. K'Wan Williams went on injured reserve. He played Sunday with the injury and then went on injured reserve. So I hope Jimmy G plays. I hope the line goes up. I may play the Dolphins in this one.
And I get it. Ralph?
You look at the Dolphins, averaging 347 yards per game, averaging 24 first downs per game. Those are impressive numbers. San Francisco, let's look at the flip side. They're averaging 22 first downs per game. So Fitz is moving them. But my thought is this. Miami is a team that can hang with you. But if a team is focused and looking at him, I'm not gonna play on the Dolphins. So Seattle came in happy, 3-0. I was looking for the Dolphins, and I actually used the Dolphins on a teaser. I teased them up against. But in this situation, off a loss, I am not gonna back the Dolphins in the role. So I am gonna pass. I agree with Matt. I think there's some talent. You look at Fitzpatrick, and he had 22. Now I'm sounding like Matt. There were 22 targets for Parker and Ford last week. No one else had more than 4. So if a team has multiple cornerbacks to take Parker and Ford out of the equation, I think Miami's in trouble. But as Matt said, the 49ers are not that team with dual quarterbacks to shut out those two guys, especially when they're signing waiver guys, a Wednesday before the game. So pass for me.
There we go. We found our third consensus play. A pass. Dallas minus 9.5 against the Giants. 54 is the total. Ralph, I said I don't take minus 13s. I never take minus 9.5s either. But, man, I love Dallas in this spot. This Dallas offense is as good as any in the league. I understand that their defense might be the single worst in football. I just don't believe the Giants could score on Coastal Carolina. So, with that said, I think this game's got like 45-17 written all over it. I love Dallas here. They're on my short list. They're going to be the highest point total I would take all week. Matt, I'll go to you first. Dallas, and Dallas for me.
Well, there's your third leg of your 10-point teaser.
Yeah.
I mean, then you just need them to win. I mean, that's the third leg right there. I might be just as daring as you in a different way. I might take the under in the team total for the Giants. It's 21.5. There's even a 22 out there. They've gone 8 straight quarters without scoring a touchdown. I mean, I can't even envision. Look, maybe Daniel Jones runs for one. Maybe Darius Slayton gets one. Maybe Ingram gets one. I just don't see how the Giants are scoring. Saquon Barkley was such a huge part, and that offensive line is just not doing anything. And the frustration has to be coming in. By the way, don't forget Jason Garrett's on the other sideline. Dallas is going to want to crush Jason Garrett and beat him up. And they know a lot of things about Jason Garrett and his offense here. So to me, as bad as Dallas's defense has been, as bad as they've looked, and as tough as of losses they've had as of late, I think I like the Giants under team total here, and I think I rarely take 9.5s too, but I could see where you're going here on the Cowboys.
Yeah. Ralph, talk me off of Dallas. Please, I'm begging you.
Oh, I can't. I am just looking up. There were only a handful of teams in the history of the NFL since, well, again, I say history. I go back to 1989. That's the first year of the database. There have been 23 teams that have had 300 yards or less each of the first 4 weeks of the season. But in the modern era since 2014, there's only been 3. The Cardinals in 2018, the Bills in 2018, they actually beat the Titans and covered. The Cardinals in 2018 against the 49ers, they won and covered. And then the Bears against the Raiders, who lost. So 2-1, but again, it's not a common occurrence. Matt, I'm gonna agree with you. Your total points have gone 16, 13, 9, and 9. Your first downs, 20, 22, 13, and 9. You're rushing for 77 yards per game. You're rushing for 2.5 yards per carry, and you're getting sacked at 9.4% of the times you drop back, with multiple sacks in each game. Dallas's sacks, they had 4 sacks against Russell Wilson, 2 against Cleveland, but Cleveland ran the ball 40 times. I think Dallas's defense does show up. I don't think they're the worst defense, Prez. I think that you played the Rams and you let them out to that big lead. Then you played Atlanta with the big lead, and Seattle and Cleveland. You had the last 2 weeks, but maybe Cleveland's offense is better than we give credit for. We know Russell Wilson, setting every record with 4+ TDs in each of his first 4 games. So I do expect Dallas to come up big. I don't know if they'll get on my card, but I agree with you, and I completely agree with Matt's thought.
Yeah.
That was really going to be the first words out of my mouth. This is your third team for your 10-point teaser. Don't worry saying it's absolutely silly to say, oh, I'm losing a half a point of value because I'm teasing down a 9.5-point favorite. Don't worry and say, okay, I'm going to use a different team because of that. If that's the team that fits the bill and you're only losing a half point, you still make the bet.
Yeah. And I also got New England in there too. I mean, I feel like at a pick'em or -1, they look pretty good too on that 10-point teaser. Indianapolis, Cleveland came out at +2.5 for Cleveland. Then it went to 3. Now it's down to 1.5 for Indianapolis. A total of 46. Matt, I'm gonna just say it. I like Cleveland here. Dude, I think Cleveland has just a massively high ceiling. It looks like they're much better coached, much better disciplined. They were playing, look, Jarvis Landry as a backup quarterback. We saw what he could do, 50 yards, perfect spiral right in the hands of OBJ. Cleveland's got to be coming into this game feeling good about themselves. And look, so's Indianapolis. They've won 3 in a row. But this Indianapolis team has played absolutely nobody so far. I think their defense is overrated. And I think Phillip Rivers, and I get that he's played somewhat mistake-free over the last couple of games, but, man, his balls just float. There is no zip to him. Cleveland or nothing for me, Matt.
I mean, we do know that Phillip Rivers' balls do float. I mean, 8 or 9 times probably so far in his life. All right, I'll move on. I'm not the joke guy. That's for you. A couple of stats.
It was
here
a good
to
try.
consider. I tried. You understand where I was at least going. A couple of stats here, and I really want to get with the Browns, and I understand that everybody's going to look at the first 3 quarters, but the fourth quarter scared me, and it just showed me that the Browns sometimes can be the Cleveland Browns, and this is a situation where they should win. You look at the Colts. Here's a fun stat for you. Outside of the Jacksonville game, Week 1, Rodrigo Blankenship has outscored the opponents in each game. Go over the stats. You look, the kicker for the Colts has actually scored more points than the opponent outside the Jacksonville game. Here's a couple of things I don't like about Indy. Darius Leonard is injured. They have just 3 healthy linebackers on their roster, Anthony Walker, Zaire Franklin, and a rookie. So that's a concern. The other thing, we've talked about Jonathan Taylor. His snap count keeps falling. He was only on the field for 44% of the snaps last week, so no longer are his props 100%. Jordan Wilkins, for some reason, is getting more snaps lately. Nyheim Hines is getting plenty of snaps. The other stat I thought was interesting here, that if you like the under, both the Colts and the Browns are running the ball at least 49% of the time when there's a neutral game script. So when it's close, these 2 teams are running the ball. So to me, I lean to the under, although I can't, it's tough to play unders nowadays. But to me, I think the Colts defense can slow down the Browns offense. They're going to gang up inside on, Kareem Hunt and Dearness Johnson and everything. I lean to the under here, but I just don't know if I can get there.
Yeah, I like the under too, Matt. I think that's a great call. Ralph, how do you see this game playing out?
I disagree with Matt saying that how many times do you have a big lead like that, Matt? And whoever's playing offense, it doesn't matter. You fall apart because you're just trying to run out the clock. I mean, that's how, these comebacks happen. So, to me, what excited me was having the uniqueness of running Beckham for the end around. I think that was just an awesome call in this situation to get the touchdown. But I'm still going to go under, despite the Browns having scored 34 or more points 3 straight games. Think about that, guys. 124 points in 3 games. That's like an elite offense in football. I've talked many times with you guys. This is the Minnesota Vikings. This is a fullback, tight end offense, that is going to run the ball first and use play action, and it worked to perfection the first half. I also talked last week that I really believe Odell Beckham's buying in. We saw him doing the end around. We saw him getting the play from Landry. Just because he's not getting the 10 targets he's accustomed to, he's still very involved with the game plan. But it's, despite being a handicapper, you never bet with your heart. You always bet with your head. I'm still a Browns fan, and I still can't put my head around it that offense is that good. So I have to wait and see. I do like the under. Prez, to your point, the Colts so far this year have played the number 21, 22, 24, and number 31 offenses in the NFL. So, yes, but you still can only play who you want. If you're holding people to 3.6 yards per carry, that's a plus. If you're keeping people down to 15 first downs, that's a plus. I watched the first half of their game. They are very quick. They are lightning. They are exciting. Those guys do not take a play off. They hustle to the ball. They have multiple players making tackles. That makes for a good defense, even if you don't have the players. I'm gonna agree with you. I would like the under in this game. And just a note, the Browns did have 6,000 fans for Cincy and Washington. The state doubled that, so the Bengals and Browns for the next couple games will each be allowed to have 12,000 fans.
Guys, we are over 55,000 subscribers to our Wager Talk TV channel at YouTube. We've picked up 5,000 in the last month alone. A lot of that is because of you guys, Jason C., Joseph, Alex, Nate, Birdie, Terry Edelman, all of you guys telling your friends. It doesn't go unnoticed. Thank you so much for all the support, all the kind words. Honestly, I feel like we're all one big family. There's a lot of monsters coming into this space, and we are going to just keep chugging along. And you are going to watch over the next 4 or 5 years Wager Talk just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We will never forget you guys at the beginning of this journey. Cannot thank you enough. A lot of love from me, Marco, Johnny, Kelly, Ralph, Matt, Teddy, all of the guys. Just so much love for you people. 1 hour. We shot that 2 minutes ago. Seattle, I'm literally giving love to our audience, and you want to talk football. Seattle -7, 57.5.
Come to me, because I have a joke. Vivian tells me you always give love very fast, so why are you doing it slow on TV? Oh.
That was better than mine. That was good, Ralph.
Okay. 1 hour, Ralph. 1 hour. I got nothing on the Seattle-Minnesota game. Matt?
Do you realize, so when we talk about Kirk Cousins, he's as mediocre as he gets. 45-45-2 career record. He has 6 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and is 16th ranked offense out of 32 teams in the NFL. When you look at Seattle, they've already faced 200 passing attempts through 4 games. Now, it'll be interesting to see what the Vikings do because they're averaging only 55.8 offensive plays per game. I need to see the status of Jamal Adams. They don't think he's going to play. Carlos Hyde, it would be nice if he would play too. But, look, Russell Wilson in a primetime game against Kirk Cousins, face value here. This is a prime teaser opportunity with it being around a touchdown. To me, tease down to 1. I lean to Seattle here. I know how bad their defense is, but the Vikings are starting 2 rookies at corner. They're going to struggle big time. By the way, Lockett had a down game, only 4 targets against Miami. I'm not going to say he's a squeaky wheel because he didn't cry about it after the game, but I have a feeling that Lockett's going to be very busy on Sunday night. So to me, it's Seattle or pass here.
Ralph?
Well, that Kirk Cousins in this Minnesota team that doesn't have an offense has put up 30 points 3 times this year in the 4 games. And the only time they got shut down was at Indianapolis, which we talked about as a good defense. Even though it's a crazy total, I lean over. Seattle, we know what their defense is going to do. It's allowing 477 yards. It's allowing 401 yards passing per game. This is an instance where I'm not going to tease Minnesota up just because I am afraid if Cousins gets behind, he can turn the ball over. And they have been sacked so often 10%, 10 sacks, and 10%. So even though it's a high total, I'm going to go over. I mean, look at the Miami-Seattle game last week. Miami was forced to kick 5 field goals. If any of those hit, the game goes over the total. So pass on the side, over for the Sunday night game for me.
Last game, boys, Chargers against New Orleans, and I want to publicly admit I was wrong about New Orleans. I played Detroit last week. Look, I almost covered, but that offense in New Orleans looked great. Drew Brees was throwing the ball. I still believe he's at the tail end of his career. -7.5, a bit too high for me. There used to be a quarterback in the Chargers named Tyrod Taylor, but I don't think you'll ever see the field again. Ralph, you've got a pen going, so what do you want to say?
Yeah, well, here's the question. Right now, it looks they're talking about moving the game to Indy, Prez. So you said the line is too high at 7.5. Because of the hurricane, if they play at Indianapolis at a neutral field for Monday night and the game goes to 5.5, does that interest you for the Saints?
Yes. If this drops below 7, I will be on the Saints. So, yeah, I don't believe in the Chargers, but I do believe in Herbert. Matt, take it away.
Bobby Hebert, yes, the New Orleans Saints quarterback here. I mean, look, it's all about injuries for me here. I mean, the Saints offense looked good against the Lions last week, but it's the Lions. I mean, to me, I need Michael Thomas back, and it looks like he's going to play. I mean, I saw some positive things, but still, it's a Monday night game, so we're not going to get our, standard injury report stuff until today, and then, Thursday and Friday, and then Saturdays when they're going to come out with the questionable or doubtful. But I think they need Michael Thomas because I think there's still some decent pieces on this Chargers defense. Granted, it's been ravaged by injuries. I think the Austin Eckler injury is going to be big for the Chargers here. Josh Kelly and Josh Jackson are not going to be the guys that Austin Eckler were. We'll see how they divvy up the backfield. I'm not necessarily recommending any props involving the Chargers running backs because I want to see how they do it. And then there is the specter of Tyrod Taylor here. I don't know if he'll be available. This is Justin Herbert in his first Monday night game against a Saints defense. And by the way, last week they didn't have their starting 2 cornerbacks. I need to know what's going on with Marshawn Lattimore. I need to know what's going on with Janoris Jenkins here. If either of them are not playing, Keenan Allen, who's getting force-fed a ton of targets, he comes into play here. If one of those guys comes back, let's say Lattimore comes back, Lattimore's going to follow Keenan Allen off the bus, then I'm going to Hunter Henry props. If neither of those 2 corners are playing, then I'm going to the Keenan Allen props because he's going to get a ton of targets once again.
Great stuff, Matt. Ralph?
I agree with you, Prez. I would rather have the Saints. They have no fans in New Orleans anyway. I'd rather have the Saints laying a few points less in Indianapolis. To me, you lose a lot of time when you travel. So you have a rookie quarterback who made his first road start. And, I played against him last week in a teaser and look how good he looked. He was up 21-7, but I will say this. You only throw those 53 and 72-yard touchdowns one time. Okay, they caught Tampa Bay off surprise. New Orleans is not going to be surprised now with those long passes that he completed. So I think that gives you the edge. But, the Saints were without 6 starters last week. They still held Detroit to 281 yards and 8 first downs. I mean, 8 first downs on the road against Stafford, who we thought is a decent quarterback. That just shows you how bad the Lions did play last week. So no play at home. If they do go to Indy, I will have a lean at 5.5 or -6 with a little bit of adjustment. And if they do go to Indy, even if they're at New Orleans, their Monday night play might make a teaser for me for the Saints.
Ralph Michaels, Matt Joseph, and me, the Prez. Guys, make sure to check Ralph and I and Teddy out every day, noon to 1 p.m. Eastern time. Wager Talk today, just an incredible show. Also, take advantage of the $199 offer, guys. It's for the rest of October. We're only October 7th, so make sure to get down on that. I'm on the over in the Oakland Athletic Houston game. 6 runs already in the 5th. I'm on a 13-3 baseball run, so don't sleep on my baseball. I got another one going tonight. Look, they wanted to talk teasers, and I'm just going to say this. I love teasers. I never buy points. So if it's at 2.5 plus 2.5, I'm betting it at plus 2.5. I don't go up to 3 Same with 7.5 down to 7. I don't go there. Instead, I look at teasers. I don't do a lot of two-team 6-point teasers. I like 3, 4, 5-teamers. But my favorite of all teasers is the 3-team 10-pointer. I am very pro teaser. Ralph?
I hadn't been to this year. During the COVID period where we had so much time, I did a lot of work on teasers, and I've had 3 teasers rated 4% or higher, including a 5 last week, and all 3 have won. So, I found spots. I know a lot of people like teasing down instead of the dogs up, but during my studies, teasing up teams when you're playing a very poor defense is very profitable. So times are changing, and we've seen the COVID. We've seen the COVID and the injuries, and the COVID list shrink the NFL even more. So I think the teaser becomes more effective because a 6-point teaser is different than value-wise than it was 2 years ago because of the injuries and the shortening of the rosters.
Matt, any quick thoughts on teasers?
I just think there's so many weird things going on with injuries and everything. To give yourself the best shot to win a game straight up is just the way to go when it comes to teasers. The 6s and the 7s, bringing it down to pick'ems and 1s with injuries that could affect things late in games. You essentially are just asking the team that you think is going to win because they're going to cover to essentially just win straight up.
Now, I will say this, guys. Do this. Prez, you had a 10-teamer. You're talking about a 3-team 10-point teaser. And we were talking about 6-point teasers. There are definitely times when you look and you parlay the money line instead of teasing down 3 teams for 10, and you can get much better odds. So it depends on what the money line parlays are. So don't say, okay, I want to bet a teaser. Say, I want to compare a 2-team 6-point teaser to comparing what those 2 teams are on the money line, and you may find value depending on which way the lines are on both of those bets in different situations.
I couldn't agree with you more. M. Rob writes that he doesn't like parlays or teasers. He likes round robins. There is only one bet worse to make than a parlay, and that's a round robin. Why? Because it's just more of those shitty parlays. The hell is a round robin? All a round robin is more freaking parlays. So it's just got a name. It sounds nice. Round robin. Otherwise known as 4 parlays or 6 parlays or 10 parlays. Parlays are the worst bet you can make. Round robins are just more of the worst bet you can make. Guys, our consensus plays last week 1-1-1. We had Tampa Bay. That was a push. We had the under in Indy. That was a win, and we lost Miami. So 1-1-1. We are 3-5 going into week 5. Our consensus plays Houston, Jets under, Rams under. Ralph, I didn't hear definitive consensus. That was pretty much all I was able to ascertain. Am I right?
When we're talking this shit, this goes to Matt. He's paying much more attention than me.
And make sure to clarify, Prez, team total under, not game under. We did not agree on the Jets. We said the team total for the under on the Jets.
Jets team total under. There you go. It's on my notes. I will save it. Take 4 teams, put them in 2-team parlays. Yeah, M-Rob, I love you, but you do that. Boys, it's been a pleasure. I'm thrilled that we get to do this every week. Guys, thank you so much for logging on and watching the NFL Presidential Address. I am nothing without Ralph Michaels and Matt Joseph. Take care, and we'll see you next Wednesday.